Shekhar Iyer, political editor of the Deccan Herald, is with us in the studio. Let's turn to him. First of all, there's a change in Parliament. They're working late hours and everyone seems to be happy, and I think the Prime Minister referred to that as well. And, first of all, how would you look at that change?
Well, I think it's a good change, a positive change. Yesterday they worked till midnight. Rajya Sabha has been having a almost uninterrupted session.
Right.
There are no adjournments. Of course, then, like Prime Minister, one has to keep saying, look, we have to touch wood because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. But I think basically the Prime Minister's appeal, I would say, in between he was trying to reply to various points raised by the opposition leaders. The basic thing he was putting forth was, look, this is the House of Elders. The fact that the government does not have majority is clear. I mean, this is not a question of number game, unlike in the Lok Sabha. Therefore, he sought to tell them, look, being elders of the House, since you are all senior leaders who have gone through several years of experience in leading the government.
Yes.
So it enjoins upon you to, look at the pending legislations, which are so important, like Goods and Services Taxes Bill.
Right.
And there are other important bills. So do not let just plain petty politics come in the way of larger things, because governments will come and go, parties will come and go, elections will happen. Those are ongoing things.
Right.
We can have our field day in politics.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to important legislations that are seen as accelerators for growth, let not politics come in between.
And it was also, since it was a reply to the motion of thanks in the President's address, it was also a defense of the government and all its policies, and the Prime Minister highlighted them all. One of the important things he also talked about was the cleanliness drive and how it's being debated in Parliament and how it's become a movement, and also about targeted subsidies. Also he did quote Indira Gandhi when he said that there are people who work and there are people who take credit for it, and then started the jibe against against the Congress party. How would you view that?
You see, I think we have seen in the last, we saw it in the Lok Sabha also. Prime Minister uses a mixture of sarcasm and wit, and and it's not some kind of a very harsh attack, but one, just as the opposition has been doing. I mean, we saw the other day Rahul Gandhi doing it. So there is some kind of reply to the points raised by them. And he put it, and for instance, the way he said, look, I think the big thing he has been saying, he said it in the Lok Sabha also. You see, when you disrupt, there are many leaders in the opposition benches who have something to say. When you adjourn the House or you create pandemonium, you are not letting them speak, which means opposition is not just the Congress party, because he is trying to highlight the fact that there are parties like, say, Trinamool Congress, Biju Janata Dal, or even Samajwadi Party do not see eye to eye with the Congress on many issues, and they have not been very happy about houses being disturbed. Now, the point today, he said, was, look, why is it that when I criticize Congress, it is being made out that I am attacking the entire opposition, which I am not.
Right.
I mean, this is to point out that opposition is not just one monolith opposition.
Right.
You have the Congress, you have the left, you have Samajwadi, Biju Janata Dal. There are other parties who have their own viewpoint, like for instance on the GST itself.
That's right.
On the GST itself, barring Congress, I think the other parties want to pass the legislation.
True. And the reference to the Congress party like death, which means that it doesn't, you can't criticize it.
I think that had everyone in splits, including the opposition benches, because he was saying, like, nobody blames death.
Yes.
So similarly, whatever happens, the Congress is not to be blamed.
True. So let's look at some of the things that the government has achieved and also been recognized by rating agencies, the international rating agencies. The Prime Minister quoted Forbes, also talking about the transparency, how it's recognized transparency. Various rating agencies have also recognized that India is growing despite the world economy being in turmoil. Put this into context for us, because after all, it's all as a result of the policies of the government.
Absolutely. You see, I think the two things are there. One, there has been repeated criticism both inside Parliament, outside, that the government came with a lot of hopes, and it came in 2014, and 2 years down the line nothing has happened. the government isn't doing anything. I think he wants to dispel that image. Several steps have been taken, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's agriculture, whether it's crop insurance for farmers, whether it is a water supply scheme, whether it is Clean India campaign. There are several things that are beginning to make a difference, and those are being noticed by such international rating agencies.
Right.
They would not do it just because I shout every day in parliament, this is happening, that is happening. Fact that these agencies are looking at way the India is moving ahead,
True.
following these programs. They have said all this, and that is a way to counter the criticism that nothing has happened, nothing has changed. Well, his counter is, look, lot of things have been initiated, lot of things are in the pipeline, and lot of things are in the various stages of implementation, and they are beginning to give results.
And also being monitored.
And they are
He's
being monitored.
by him himself,
He himself
in the
has
infrastructure
undertaken
projects.
by now 8 to 9 rounds of Pragati, where he uses the digital way of connecting to various state governments, to state officials, and monitoring particularly the infrastructure projects,
Right.
which are considered engines of growth. What kind of things are being done to cut red tape, and this has been ongoing exercise. Even a day after the budget, he held a meeting on infrastructure.
Right.
So what he wants to convey is, look, we are at it, we are serious, we are doing it.
Sure.
So don't dismiss off everything as saying that no, we haven't done anything.
True. And one of the big concerns is with regard to manpower and skill development. And this has been a focus. This is the government has created a new ministry and also strengthened all the institutes that are working towards skill development. And the Prime Minister says that by 2030, meeting the standards of the international standards, people will be available for the global market. That is the model.
Yeah, that's a very big program, and that requires, this is one area. What have we seen? We are seeing unemployed youth on one hand, and there are possibilities of new opportunities coming up, but
Right.
those would require the huge population of unemployed youth are made employable.
That's
That
right.
would require acquiring skills, both modern skills, and sometimes there are skills which have been traditional skills, which their special programs have been announced, in which some minority sections are covered.
Right.
Because some minorities have been traditionally following certain certain professions where the technique and the mastery has been handed over from generation to generation. So taking into account all this and the kind of new things that are going to happen and new possibilities, so that would require we convert every unemployed youth into
Right.
a potential who can be a skilled worker and
Sure.
who can take part in this growth.
And a final word on how the Prime Minister closed his speech. He became poetic.
Yeah, I mean, he chose the Urdu poets
Nida
Nidal Fazli's.
Yes.
I think it had everything he wanted to say. Look, I am not going to, change the direction of my path. I know it is struggle. I know I will have to bear a hot sun. That precisely explains the kind of situation he is passing through now. There will be a lot of criticism. If possible, you can join me in this, because my endeavor is larger thing.
Right.
And even otherwise, even if you don't join me, my journey has to go on, because I have a larger
So are we
task
likely
at
to see?
hand.
Are we likely to see the GST bill being passed by the Rajya Sabha then?
I think this is just another week left before the first session,
That's
first
right.
part of the session ends. But definitely, I think today's appeal is a renewed appeal, in the sense there is a fresh bid to the Congress particularly to chip in.
Shekhar Iyer, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us here on Newsnight.